Testing, testing, testing. Looking, it's a little weird. It doesn't allow me to, not going to allow me to start the webinar.
Strange. Let me.
Are you in? Are you logged in under me or?
I'm not.
I logged into Zoom. It just is like letting me like join. Different than the way it was before. So go to webinars.
It was literally the same one that I explained it, so there shouldn't have been any difference.
It says join and today, 11 a.m.
Launch meeting. Browser.
Yeah, what happens when
This meeting is being recorded.
are you able to like start it or?
Looks like there's.
Oh, hang on. You don't want to hang up here?
Yeah, head
Okay.
hung up the phone.
Oh, so I see a couple people logging in. How do I begin the webinar though? Let people in, right?
Yeah, people are already trickling in. What
Oh, well, checking. Can you guys hear
is
us?
going on, guys?
Yeah, are we maybe we're live already.
It looks like it.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks, Sarah,
Sarah.
helping us out here. Well, we're hanging out. Yeah. Well, while you guys are joining us, why don't you share with us where you're coming from and what kind of business you're in and some wins that you might like. We've got a few minutes before I'm sure the rest of the gang will show up. But yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about you guys in the meantime, and especially any wins that you're looking for or any particular challenges.
Nice. Salt Lake City.
Game development and recruiting. What is that? What do you mean by game development?
Is it like building games like Fortnite or
Or
like
gamification?
Call of Duty? New World Fortnite? Yeah. Okay.
New World Fortnite.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, so there's I know a little bit about that. There's like these servers, right? People create their own Fortnite communities, or they create their own like game communities. And that I'm not a big gamer, but yeah.
Nor am I. I don't necessarily know my way around most consoles. Like my little brother, he's all kinds of into that stuff, and so like sometimes he'll show me, and I'm just I feel so aged. We'll say.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, me too. And like all our developers and like half the people on our team, they're all big gamers, and I'm like,
Yeah.
That's what they share their big cool thing for the weekend. So every Friday in our final Friday stand up, everybody shares a cool thing that they do for the weekend. And so that's how we kind of get to know each other. So it's one of our things. I like that. It's one of our culture building activities, and in a fully remote workforce, you have to find ways to connect with people, right? So, so a workforce development person in there, that's great. We actually wrote a book during COVID, how to get America back to work, and we took all the strategies that we teach employers on how to find and select and get the very best people. We actually flipped those on their head, and we shared those with job seekers on how to find, target, and get better jobs. And because it's really the same kind of strategies depending on which way you go. So that's great. Awesome. And
That's
workforce
awesome.
development
Hey,
programs
Ruth.
are really important here in helping us fill these open positions, because there's a lot of hidden talent that they uncover, guys. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So as you guys are coming in, let us know where you're coming in from, and what you do, and what would be a significant win for you guys today.
Yeah. Let me see if I can figure out how to. Okay, we haven't shared the screen yet, so I think when I share my screen, let's see, I can actually we'll play. We curated some music for you guys while we're waiting. Some of our favorite songs. Okay, let me get that going for y'all. I got these here. This might be how some people are feeling these days. Beatles are like my all-time favorite band.
More innovative ways to hire. Awesome. You're definitely in the right place.
Yeah. Well, we're going to cover literally the 6 main ways and tactics and strategies, and then we're going to talk a little bit today about how you can leverage some of those strategies or how you can get better at executing some of those strategies. So that'll be pretty good, and we'll definitely cover quite a bit when it comes to that. And I think the key there is a lot of the strategies that we're already using. It's just how do we do them better? And the devil's in the details here, guys. So sometimes we just overlook the things that we're already doing, and we overlook how we do those things to make sure that we're doing them in the most efficient and effective ways, right? So we're going to definitely address some of that today, which is going to be interesting.
Awesome. Colorado. A lot of people from Colorado.
So, I'm going to share this. I'm going to share the slideshow. Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, Colorado is boom town, man. James and I were just talking about that. That's where you're moving next, right, James?
Yeah, we're planning on moving over to Colorado here for the next 4 or 5 months. So It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Right.
Well, sir, you want to get this kicked off?
Yeah, we're getting going. So we're here to talk about hiring during the Great Resignation. So we're either, running into one of 2 problems, hopefully not both, but maybe both. We might be losing key people due to this kind of Great Resignation effect, or we may be having significant challenges in finding people, right? So we're going to cover both sides of that topic today. First, I guess a little bit about me. I've literally spent my entire life thinking about talent acquisition and how to get the right people on the bus to build high-performing teams. My father was a management consultant. He talked about strategy and leadership, and hiring was definitely a big piece of that. And I thought that was all pretty interesting, and luckily, I had found myself in leadership roles. I was captain of my football team, and involved in, I was elected student body president of my high school, and I was involved in lots of activities in college and same things. Constantly found myself in a leadership role, and I really gravitated to this idea that if I can find the very, very best people, whether it's my social organization or my work organization, that we would be wildly successful if that was the case, right? So prior to taking over the Hire Talent 9 years ago, almost to the day, we were probably 18 days from my anniversary here. I had the great privilege of running a very entrepreneurial business. I opened 24 small delis across the country, and then I took the worst performing business unit out of 100 business units for a commercial dish machine company, a very niche business. So we manufactured, had service technicians, outside salespeople, administration, and I had the great pleasure of leading all of those teams here in Southern California. And unfortunately, this was, it was a great market, but had underperformed for over 20 years and was in last place amongst the other 100 branches. And we took that to first place, and all through really building amazing teams, right? And so I finally had the opportunity to put all of the things that I'd learned and thought about into practice and make it come to life. And subsequently, I get to do that with thousands of companies all over the country and some all over the world now. So when I started this journey, I had a mission. I'm a Malcolm Gladwell person. I was 31 years old. And, I felt a little young and inexperienced, and like, who would listen to me? What do I know about any of these things? So we set out to interview over 10,000 candidates, and subsequently that resulted in a lot of high value placements and people who became high performers for their organizations. And we've assessed hundreds of thousands of candidates through the process through our assessment tools. We are being published in the Scientific Journal of Personnel and Selection. So that is a great honor that I and my team have been able to accomplish here in conjunction with Bowling Green State University, who's one of the top IO psychology programs in the country. I was able to help my father publish his book, Hiring Talented Team Players. If you want a copy of that, just drop a link. You can get it, I think, free on Kindle, or you can get a paperback for like $15 or something there on Amazon, and James can get you connected with that. Ultimately, we've developed a fact-based performance hiring, and performance hiring is the key. And we're going to share some of those performance hiring techniques with you today. And a regular speaker for SHRM and various entrepreneur groups over the years here, and that's been a great pleasure, and been cited across numerous other journals, so Forbes, Inc., ERE, Recruiter, Monster, and you name it. A lot of our content has been shared on those platforms. So I really appreciate you guys joining me today here. So, well, first, I think we're gonna cover really kind of four main things when it comes to hiring during the Great Resignation. First, we got to just set the context. Like, why is this happening? We have to understand the context, at least to some degree, to be able to begin to create strategies, A, to prevent resignations, but B, to create messaging and strategies to actually attract and build pools of talent who can produce ultimately A players for us, because that's what we want. We want to fill our team and our bus full of top performing people. So we're going to cover a little bit about how we can prevent those resignations through some of these strategies. And we're going to spend quite a bit of time on effective talent acquisition and attraction strategies. And we're not only going to talk about high level, but we're getting into a few details there. And ultimately, some methods and techniques for uncovering the diamonds in the rough there, and the great people that end up in our pool. That's really our specialty, is talent assessment, and out of necessity, become really, really strong recruiters and talent attraction people. Because if you don't have a great pool of people to pull from, then it's hard to find those great players. And then ultimately, if it's okay with you guys, I'll share briefly with you some of the tools and techniques, strategies that help us accelerate these things that we talked about today. How do we make building these pools faster, better, easier? And how do we make evaluating those pools effective and easier and faster? So we'll share with you that briefly, and then hopefully we're going to try to leave about 15 minutes for questions. So if you haven't already dropped in the chat, share what would be a significant win for you today. I'd like for you to have at least one, if not 3 to 5 significant takeaways from this conversation that we're having. So if we don't cover something that's really a hot topic for you, share what you'd like a win for you in the chat there, or a question, a burning challenge that you're facing. And then James and Anna will help us kind of collect those, and we'll make sure we address those at the end. So a little bit about the context. So we are seeing record numbers of people, probably never seen before type numbers. My chart only goes back to 2001, but 4.3 million Americans are leaving their jobs each month over the last several months here. And it's kind of interesting to see. For many of you, my career began in the early 2000s, right around the .com bust here. And so obviously we saw a retraction of people leaving their jobs because they were being laid off or let go, and there was kind of a little recession going on. And then as you see, as the economy gets better, we see, resignations grow and grow and grow. And then of course, 07, 08, people are hanging on those jobs desperately, and very gradually, just like the economy improved, resignations began to slowly increase. And as we saw over the last 12 years or so, the competition for talent had increasingly been getting harder and harder. And amazingly, we're after this COVID crisis, we're back to some of the lowest unemployment rates that we've ever seen historically, really near the same unemployment rates we were at right before the COVID happened. And obviously we saw a huge dip in those. And there's a multitude of factors, but really I think the main factor that COVID is why it's driving resignations in such a significant way is we had about a year where many of us were able to take a step back and spend more time doing things that we enjoyed. So spending more time in our outdoor activities, spending time with our family, our kids, at home, not having to commute, Many of us got to experience working from home and having a more flexible working arrangement, and people's eyes opened to the possibilities, right? And they started realizing that going back into the office was not something that was necessarily desirable for them. And they also proved to the world that we could still be highly effective and produce great results. So Mr. Wonderful, really, I think he nails this, and he helps embody this. I'm going to share a quick clip here for you guys.
People to come back to the office. That you thought it would be like
50%
who wouldn't come back after the pandemic, but it's really something like 55%
who
say they will never come back?
They're never coming back.
Well, doesn't that tell you something about how much they must have fucking hated the office to begin with? I'm just asking. I mean, I miss my office.
Look,
I want to be at the office.
They have proven to everybody all around the world that they can use technology to do their jobs successfully, creatively, functionally, productively. They want to stay at home, raise their kids, take care of their elderly parents. And in fact, if you say to them, you have to come back to the office, that's our new mandate, they'll say, nah, I'm just going to quit and work somewhere else. So we thought it was 15%. We have a sample size of about 10,000 people in our supply chain plus our companies. I thought it would be in accounting, logistics, compliance departments, the people who used to work in cubicles. It's everybody. They don't want to come back. And so we have to learn to live this way, and I'm okay with it. It works. I find it really interesting.
So you're okay with it?
One of the guys that's crucial to our whole operating company accounting said to me, I grew up on a farm. I'm going back to the farm. I'm going to live on the farm. I'll work for you, but it's going to be from the farm. I said, cool. I'm okay with it. No problem.
Who wants to live on a farm?
I don't know. Living on a farm doesn't actually sound like a bad idea to me. I kind of into that. You see my backdrop. I'm kind of an outdoorsy guy. I kind of like that. But anyways, no. You see, look, I think he really kind of nails it here, and the numbers show it. I've got the stats here on the side here, but we have to rethink how we work, and there's no way around that. And that might not be what a lot of us want to hear, but I think it's something that we need to begin thinking about. So if you're an executive on this call and you're resistant to the idea, it can work. And you know what? You don't have to go all in. You can tiptoe into this. You can create a flex work environment. If you are where this seems seemingly impossible in retail or hospitality or manufacturing, there are creative ways actually to give people the flexibility in the work-life balance that they're looking for. So flex schedules, flex Mondays and Fridays off. You're talking, 10-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts. James's wife is a nurse. She works 3/12s. I mean, like what better schedule is than that, in my opinion, right? So it can be done, and they've done a number of studies here. These kind of flexible working arrangements can actually really improve productivity in many cases too. So at the end of the day, we have to prove it to ourselves, but I would encourage you to investigate these things and to think about it. And there are lots of little things we can do. In some cases, it's letting people be fully remote. In others, it's being more creative about the flexibility in the working environment. I think the real problem here is how do we attract the baby boomer type workforce, these 55 and up adults who 50% of them are working on leaving the workforce. And that's pretty early. I mean, we're not talking about 60-year-olds. We're talking about 55-year-olds. And so these are our most experienced workers in the workforce, and they're leaving in droves, right? So we need to think about, we can just let them go, or we can figure out ways to engage them to come back, and probably has a lot to do with the environment that they're working in and the flexibility, because these people have teenage kids, young adult kids, grandkids, and they've been working their whole life, hard day's night, man, and they're looking for something better, and they realize they can have it. The other group I'm really, really concerned about here are women. So women tend to be some of the most highly educated and the highest producing workers in the workforce, and they're leaving the workforces in droves. Almost 300,000 women are leaving the workforce every single month over the last 5 to 6 months. So we're having a significant brain drain in talented workers. And again, the reason why they're leaving in most cases is because they're having to take care of elderly parents and children. They want to do these things, but they also want to work. They didn't go to college and get student loans and become top achievers to not work. They want to work, but the opportunities for them to use their talents in the way that works for them and their lifestyle are not available. So if we can create those opportunities for these kind of older workers, as well as these really intelligent, well-educated, talented women, then we can recapture some of that market. I like to think of this Great Resignation more as the biggest opportunity we have to level up our talent, not the biggest business challenge that we have. I can give you a great example of this. We work with a recruiting agency and they hire entry-level people. So they're generally recent college grads to, folks kind of, in their early careers. A lot of them maybe have had retail jobs or again, kind of just recently graduated from college. And they start people between $15 to $20 an hour, plus commissions and incentives and all these things. And it's a fully remote working environment. So they have a lot of opportunity, but the pay is not spectacular. The work is hard. They spend their time cold calling people all day long. It's not the most desirable, previously considered desirable job. Over 2,500 applicants in 60 days for a job like that because of the flexibility, because of the opportunity to grow both financially, but also to have that flexible environment, right? And so a lot of these people are also some of the most diverse workers in the workforce. So these are people who are coming from non-traditional, they're not white men, bottom line, right? So it's really a good way to both diversify your talent pool, but also find really, really talented people. So it's just a great example of how you can actually win at this war of talent that we're facing here, not be a victim to it, right? So ultimately, if we don't solve this problem, we're talking about significant business impacts. We're talking about lost revenues due to uncaptured sales and product delivery, right? If you are 20% short on your manufacturing workforce, you're unable to fill orders and get product out the door, you're losing money. If you're unable to capture those sales because you're maxed out on productivity, then you're losing out on revenue. Maybe even worse, if you're having turnover and this is causing disruptions with your customers, maybe losing what used to be a previously reliable source of revenue, a good, loyal customer. We're losing those customers. We're going backwards in our revenue generation, and we're upsetting those customers because we cannot fulfill their needs, their services, our products that we're trying to deliver them. And that's happening because we're turning over our best talent potentially. We're losing institutional knowledge. And there's an enormous cost to recruit, train, and ramp up talent to the full production. Even in some of the lowest level jobs, you're talking anywhere from 30 to 90 days. In the more professional level jobs, you're easily talking 90 days to a year to get people up to full production. I was talking to a forum of software development companies, and they told me to get a new software developer fully up to speed and producing at full capacity, it takes 1 year. 1 year to get them up to full capacity. So that lost opportunity cost, and they're being paid full time, and these people are getting paid $150,000+ a year, and it takes them 1 year. And it's not because they're not talented people; it's just the nature of the work, and that's often the case in most jobs, in most situations. So if you are in HR, or you're a COO or an operations person, or if you're an influencer in this process, I would encourage you to look at the opportunity cost and the ROI of not solving your retention issue and your attraction issue, because at the end of the day, it's costing organizations a ton of money. Gallup did a poll before the pandemic, and they looked at organizations across the United States on average were turning over 20% of their workforce, and it was costing them collectively over $1 trillion a year. So hiring, rehire, retrain, refill, and losing institutional knowledge is costing American businesses $1 trillion a year. And it's not in the cost of having to buy them a uniform or run ads or do interviews, it's in that lost opportunity cost. Another great example, I think really highlights it. You hire a salesperson, they have $1 million quota. After 90 days, they've sold $100,000 worth of stuff, and they fail and they quit, or you fire them because they're not making it, you just lost $900,000. You have a manufacturer worker who's out there and they produce widgets, and those widgets are worth $1,000. A high performing one produces 10 of these a day. That's $10,000 in product that's being produced a day. You have one that's performing at half the speed, or you're missing somebody who's not able to fulfill that. You're literally, you could be losing $5,000 a day in productivity, right? So that adds up real quick. After 30 days, you just lost $150,000 worth of productivity in a scenario like that. You have a customer service rep who is managing or working with a customer who gives you $50,000 a year worth of business, and they upset that customer, and that customer leaves your organization. Your organization just lost $50,000 due to one interaction with the wrong person in your team. So this guide we will share with you. I think it helps us make the case for why we need to invest a little bit of money. I mean, a lot of the strategies we talk about are either free or you're already spending the money. It's just how you use that money. So take advantage of these. And I would be making that case to reinvest in your talent attraction and your retention strategies because the consequences of not doing that are huge. So what's the solution? Well, you've got to have a recruitment and hiring strategy ultimately. And it's got to be systematic. Just like anything else in our businesses, we have processes and systems that are repeatable, that allow us to have repeatable results, and also to tweak and to modify and to continue to improve the things that we're doing. So we call that a fact-based performance hiring system. And there's 4 components to the framework. First is your foundational, getting your kind of messaging and your job descriptions right. Attraction, we're going to talk a lot about this framework and attracting piece, and we'll talk a little bit about candidate assessment, but how you evaluate candidates in that process, and ultimately how you train and onboard those people, all are the huge factors into your end result, whether you're going to win in your talent and recruiting efforts, or you're going to end up with subpar results, right? So to get started, the foundation of this, and this is the piece that helps you address both the resignation issue as well as build a case for why you should be an employer of choice, your employer value proposition. And that cuts both ways, to your existing workforce and to your incoming workforce. And it's founded on the 3 C's of hiring. So compensation, career growth, and culture. There's no way around this. All 3 of these are a factor. We work with a lot of law firms, right? So law firms, they have this interesting scenario. They did a study. So female attorneys, they come into the workforce and they work for AmLaw 100, 200. These are the biggest law firms in the world, right? And they often come out of the gates and their career trajectory just like hockey sticks in terms of productivity, right? And they're making buku bucks. We're talking about the top 1% earners in the world. And they see a plateau when these women hit about 30 to 35 years old. When they're at the peak of their career and they're earning more money than 99% of the people in the world. Why do they leave? And they leave these jobs. They quit. And it's because of career growth and culture issues. So it's important to be thinking about this. The money is a big factor. It affects our quality of life, our ability to live and to provide for our families and to have a stable, kind of comfortable lifestyle. And that's mostly what most people want. Many people don't even need to be in the 1%, right, to be happy, right? So what they do need is they need to be stretched at work, career growth. Another big survey, they look at like retail workers or manufacturer workers where people are doing repetitive jobs over and over and over again. And you're hearing this in the surveys during this great resignation. And there is no stretching of the skill sets. People are so niched into the things that they're doing, they don't get to grow themselves as an individual. They don't get to challenge their brain in any way. So career growth is not just like, oh, can I go from entry level to associate to senior to manager to become the CEO of the company? It's learning and development and stretching their skill sets and being able to become a more dynamic individual and worker can really satisfy that as well. So I encourage you to think about that. We're going to have to address these issues. And then ultimately culture. People, we've all heard the saying, people don't leave bad companies, they leave bad bosses. And bad bosses are the driver of our company culture. So at the top, if we have a really nice set of mission and vision and value statements, but our leadership is not embracing those and making that part of our company culture and ingraining it and actually living that stuff, then we're creating an opportunity, to invite people to leave our organizations. And we're also, when people start leaving our organizations in droves, it makes it very, very difficult to attract them. So ultimately, we have to put these three things into a value proposition statement. We'll talk about that in a sec. But I have to highlight the compensation piece. Again, I can't minimize. If you think about it as a pie, they're not all equal pieces. Now, if we're doing a poor job at career growth and culture, then compensation becomes the biggest piece of the pie. We can shrink that. It's never not going to be a factor, but can we make it 20% of the pie and make career growth and culture 40 or 80% collectively, right, of that pie, right? And here's a great example. So I'm working with a small credit union in Helena, Montana. And I just watched Yellowstone last night, which was a really cool show. So if you haven't seen any of that too, but got to check that out too. Plug there. But so small town credit union, white collar kind of, up and coming job, and he can't find tellers. You know why? Because Chick-fil-A across the street is paying $4 an hour more than he is. It's crazy. We are seeing, in many cases, 20% or higher increases in wages. Think about this. A fast food job pays almost $40,000 a year now. This is something we can't get away from, right? Chick-fil-A might be a franchise organization, but they have a culture and they have a reputation, just like Amazon and Walmart and Target and all these big organizations. They are all drastically increasing their wages. And this isn't going anywhere. They're not going to come back to their workforce in a year from now and say, hey, during the pandemic, right afterwards, when we couldn't find anybody and we gave everybody like $3 an hour raises, well, we're going to take that back because we're all good now, right, guys? It ain't happening. Yeah. So if you are not getting out ahead of the compensation issue, and look, I understand it's painful. You have an organization of 5 people or 500 people. Having to raise your wages across the board is going to be an extraordinarily painful financial investment in your workforce. But again, go back to that opportunity cost, the cost of not doing it or not addressing this. And I'm not telling you guys to go out and tomorrow just raise your wages 20%. Look, that may not be humanly possible, but we need to be thinking about it. We need to be strategizing. We need to be coming up with a plan, because it might mean price increases and other issues. And we're also, many of you are also facing, is inflation across your wholesale goods, the products, the other things that you're using to deliver your products and services. So it's not just here in the wage area. You're facing economic pressures everywhere. So I just can't implore business leaders enough to start thinking strategically and get out ahead of this, because if you wait too long, you're going to be caught flat-footed and you're going to be having to take drastic hits to your bottom line. You got to be thinking about these things. That's the bottom line. So ultimately, if we can create an employer value proposition, if we can address that, or if we at least can begin to address that, we need to begin to share that with and to use that to engage top talent. So if I can be competitive in compensation, great. Let's use that as a lever. But I also want to engage top talent by telling a vivid story about career growth. So many of you have been in your organizations for a very long time, and you have probably grown with the organization. Your career has grown. You have stretched your skill sets. Or maybe there are a number of examples of people who have been there for 10 or 15 or 20 years, and they've either grown in roles or as well as their skill set. Go interview those people. Interview the people inside your organizations and ask them to tell the story. And then share that story with the people that you're trying to attract, right? One simple tip. You do that one thing and you just revamp your job ads tomorrow, you will see a significant increase in the quality and the quantity of candidates applying to your jobs. Do a better job of sharing why your company matters, right? So we believe building amazing teams enhances the quality of life for everybody involved. Not just our organizations, but the people in our organizations get to live a better life when they're surrounded by other amazing people, right? So we want to share these stories. You can do this simply by get your iPhone out and record them. Ask them, tell me your story, Joe or Jane, about becoming the operations manager in this manufacturing facility. How did you get there? What was that journey like? How did that help you achieve some of the things that you wanted in your personal life, right? So I want to paint a clear picture of what that's like. Paint a clear picture of what your company culture is by interviewing people or asking people. And then you can describe it in words or through videos. We want to share this message through dynamic content and through dynamic messaging. And then wherever we're sharing on this message through social or ads or headhunting, however we're going about getting this message out to people, we can deliver it through a multitude of different mediums. And again, I'm a huge fan of the video side of this because nowadays people really like to engage with video, right? This becomes your message. It's just part of every single communication point you have with your prospective candidates. Oh, by the way, you can also leverage this to enhance or to reinforce the narrative going on inside your organization. Share this message internally as well, right? So we've got to set this foundation. This is the fundamental step we got to take. And again, it's super easy. I mean, like, if you were inspired at all today from this part of the conversation, just take 30 minutes after this and just rewrite your job ads. And I'll tell you, most of us are using, first of all, say job ads. Most of us are using what we call job descriptions. You know, that boring thing with lists of demands and like all the little like stupid things that you're going to do in the job. Yeah, those are important when we're describing the job, but they're terrible for marketing a great opportunity. So we need to flip the switch on how we think about job descriptions. And when we're recruiting, we need to be creating job advertisements, and those are not your job description. Throw those things away. Save them for later in the process. By all means, they are useful. But if you're going to go out and market a job, remember, this is marketing here. We are promoting. We are screaming at the top of the mountaintops. We are a great place to work. Well, the boring list of demands that are typically found on a job description have no place there. Those come later in the process. So rethink how you're talking about your opportunities and, again, addressing career growth and culture and compensation and those 3 C's, and you'll instantly have a better message. So what are the mechanisms? How do we find people? Well, most of us are using job boards. So I'm going to talk to you about some quick strategies that we can use there. I really think employee referrals should be the first thing on this pyramid. So I leave job boards up there because mainly it's the low-hanging fruit thing. But employee referral programs, if you don't have one, or if your program is not producing results, don't give up on it. You need to have an employee referral program. James is a top performer. This guy works with amazing people throughout his career. And if he likes working here, he's going to be more than happy to share those folks with us. In fact, like three of the 20 people that work here, probably more now, have come from referrals, or even past people we've had that have been great performers for us over the years have come from referrals. And I think, in fact, our entire software development team is we're connected to each other at some point, a team of 6 people. So it's pretty crazy what employee referrals can do for you. Again, staffing and recruiting companies can definitely be part of this mixture. Great for like specialized workforce, or when we're in a pinch, or we need to hire a lot of people in a very short period of time. But I really prefer to be my own headhunter, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then lastly, there are some creative strategies, and honestly, you want to get these first like 5 strategies down right before you waste your time with the creative strategies, because honestly, the ROI on those tend to be quite low. However, they can be very, very useful depending on the situation. But I want to master these top 5 strategies before I kind of get to these creative ones, right? So here's a few tips with job board. Number 1, how many of you post a job on job board, maybe paid or free, and the job says, click here in order to apply, and the candidate leaves the job board to go to your career page, and then they have to take additional 1, 2, or 3 steps in order to click, and then maybe fill out an application that takes anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. Anybody doing that in the room? Share with me. I'm going to pick on you. Sorry.
Drop it in the chat, guys.
Yeah. Stop doing that. Think about this. I mean, I don't know if any of you have recently gotten a job, have been on the job market here. Nowadays, there are 2 significant job boards out there, Indeed and ZipRecruiter. Pretty much the rest of them aren't worth their salt, although they are situationally worth, and they're worth investigating, they're worth experimenting with. The other ones I have listed there, LinkedIn, Dice, Monster, Craigslist, Handshake, all of those definitely have their place in the talent marketing and recruitment space, but they're very situationally useful boards. But Indeed is going to produce, for every 10 candidates that it's going to produce, ZipRecruiter is going to probably produce 2 to 4. So it's a 20 to 40% increase in your candidate slot. But think about it this way. I am on my cell phone, I'm sitting in front of the TV, and I'm applying for jobs. All I have to do is click apply in most cases for savvy employers. They've got it set up this way. It's a quick apply. I got my resumes already on there. All I'm doing is scrolling through jobs. I say that one's interesting. I hit apply. And ideally, my applicant tracking system is then collecting that resume. And then at that point, as a recruiter, I can review that resume, and then I can invite those people to additional conversation. And then I can ask them to complete the additional steps, the application. For larger organizations worried about compliance, this is totally legal. As long as you're consistent in your process, and that does not require you to put a burdensome step up early in that process, like making them leave the job board on their mobile phone. Oh, is your career site even mobile friendly? Is it easy for them to apply? If not, again, you're losing talent every single time. If you make that one switch, I can almost guarantee you will see a minimum of a 10% increase up to 50%. We did this with a large in-home sales organization. We saw a 50x increase in applicants by just stopping that practice. It is huge. And you can be compliant, and you can follow all the rules, and you can be an equal opportunity employer. Though, in fact, you will be more inclusive if you operate that way. So I really, really encourage you to stop that practice and to rearrange how you do that. Again, you will get your application, you will follow your EOC guidelines. You just do it a little bit later in your process, right? And they'll do it consistently. Another thing here is don't be cheap. So most applicant tracking systems, including ours, allow you to promote jobs for free on job boards, and that is great. Great for passive recruiting, great for certain types of jobs. It kind of gets the trick done. But ultimately, many jobs, especially if you're having a hard time filling them, you must sponsor. You must throw some paid advertisement. So I highly encourage you to sponsor your jobs on Indeed. I'm not an advocate for Indeed. I don't get paid from Indeed. I don't even actually really like Indeed very much, but they are the Google of jobs, and we need to use them and leverage them intelligently. So sponsor them. You're going to spend anywhere from $300 to $500 per month. We got 7 minutes here, James. Keep me on track, but do that. Also, ZipRecruiter premium job slots, and I don't recommend buying their job boosts. They're worth experimenting with. Try them out if you like. LinkedIn's great for professional folks. Dice is good for tech. Monster, Craigslist are great for kind of more entry-level, lower-level roles. Maybe even Craigslist is great for that baby boomer workforce, blue-collar jobs. Handshake's great for college recruiting, and don't be cheap. So make sure we're using keywords and common titles. Don't put unicorn, something or another, or Code Ninja in there. Put job titles that people are actually searching for. And I also am a anti-screener questions. Again, every barrier you're put to allowing somebody to apply for your jobs is one less candidate that you're getting there. And it doesn't take very long. I'll actually show you some tools later on that will help you screen candidates, hundreds of candidates in a short period of time. So don't let your technology slow your attraction down, is the point. We've added all this technology in there and it's actually hurting us and not helping us. So we talked about employee referrals. So there is a lot here. I'll give you a couple of tips, but if you want, throw in the chat if you're interested. We have a whole ebook on employee referrals to help you spell out all of the strategies for making sure that you have a good employee referral program. But I mentioned two things before. One, if you don't have one, you need to start one. Number two, if it's not working, then you need to reboot it. And really, the simple technique is you need to make it part of your culture. You need to talk about it all the time. You need to make it easy for people to share the open jobs, the content, social posts, emails, the messaging. Don't make it hard for people to refer. Don't say, hey, James, you know anybody who'd be a great customer service person? Can you send them my way? And you say, well, yeah, that'd be great, but like, what am I going to show them, or what's the job post, or what's the job all about, or, how am I going to share this information? Like, tee it up for them. I'm going to deliver James a really well-crafted job advertisement, some social posts that he can just hit share, and I'm going to share that with him, and all he has to do is forward that to all his friends and family, right? And then another big mistake I see people make is we reward the hire, but not the referral. Now, you can reward the hire, but we really need to be focused on rewarding the referral. James is a top performer. He can refer me 10 great people. Just because I don't hire all those people, they don't end up being a fit, that doesn't make James's referrals not worth something. That's really great that he did that. So I want to reward the activity, not the outcome. And I can always reward the outcome as well. But I want to encourage my workforce to refer as many people as possible. It is my job to figure out if they're ultimately a fit, right? And we need to just talk it up constantly and have software that helps you track this stuff, right? That really helps. And then ultimately be your own headhunter. A couple quick things in here. I encourage all of you who've got kind of specialized, type roles. I don't know, you're gonna hire an attorney, an accountant, a CPA, an engineer of some sort. I don't know. Pick any kind of specialized worker here. Go get a LinkedIn Recruiter Lite or Navigator seat, $80 to $100 a month. You can pay month to month, cancel anytime, and you can simply run a search, and you can start to reach out to people. And the message should just be as simple as this. Hey, James, I see that you're a growth marketer. We've been looking for somebody who has that same exact background. Would you want to have a cup of coffee with me? Would you hop on a 5-minute call? I'd love to pick your brain and see if maybe we could have start a conversation. If you do that 10 minutes a day, you're going to get some bites. I did this with my buddy. He's has an HOA property management company. They manage HOAs, right? He comes to me and he's like, hey, I want to pay you like a bunch of money to help me go fill this job. I'm like, dude, you don't need to pay me any money. Just go get a LinkedIn account, go run a search for HOA property managers. He found 30 of them in Orange County. He reached out to those folks. He had 3 interviews and made a hire in under a week. Done. Easy, right? The other great databases are Indeed resume database, ZipRecruiters, whatever, but it's worth checking out if you're really getting desperate. And then we don't have time for this stuff, but you can use advanced sourcing techniques. You can leverage VA. So if you're a larger organization, kind of have a recruiting apparatus, but you want to enhance this, I would encourage you to book a call with me and my team. We can share some ideas here. We don't sell this service. I can just happy to share with you some strategies on how you can leverage advanced sourcing techniques or VAs for data mining. Again, state licensing boards for specialized talents, great place to go. Where am I going? And you got to have a great hiring software to manage this outreach and manage your candidate pool, of course, again. So if you don't have the tools, you should do it. And some of you might be ready for an in-house recruiter. So be thinking about that as well. I mean, a great in-house recruiter can cost you anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000 a year. And again, if the cost of not getting those jobs filled is costing you more than that, which it probably is, it's a no-brainer investment, right? And of course, you can use staffing and recruiting companies. Okay, I got 2 minutes. So one quick thing, just make sure you vet these companies like you would vet any other hire, right? And try to keep the pool of companies you're working with down to just a couple, because if you hire too many, they're just going after the same pool of talent, and it actually causes a counterproductive effect. And the third tip is build a relationship. Treat them like a team member. Like, these folks, have more work than they know what to do with these days. So if you're not like having a productive, healthy working relationship with these people, just like you would anybody else on your team, what are they going to tell you to do? Oh, I could play this. Your partners, your partners are going to start saying that to you just as much as your employees, right? So you want to nurture those relationships, but you want to do that with ones that you've vetted, that you know are high performing agencies, right? So I'm not just going to hire any willy-nilly agency. I'm going to hire one that has got proven results, who knows your industry, who understands you guys, and who's also willing to invest in that relationship back, right? And if they're not, then you cut them loose. But don't put yourself in a situation where they're firing you. That's the best part. So my favorite creative ideas, since we're out of time, but one is leverage your vendor and customer database, and you can promote your jobs to them. Hey guys, working with a early childhood development center company. They have 500 centers, and there's a lot of moms, stay-at-home moms, are looking for part-time jobs. They'd love to come in and work in the preschool for 2 or 3 days a week to help out with the little kiddos, right? So why not promote that to that workforce? Hey, we've got job openings. Are you interested in working in our organization? Here's a testimonial of what it's like to work here and why it's so great doing this job, right? The other one would be vendors. You can do the same thing with them, leverage them to get referrals, employee referrals. And then there's a bunch of other strategies here that you can play with. And again, if you'd like to dig deeper on some of these or have any questions, drop it in the chat. We can talk about it here in the next session. So ultimately, all of these things take a little bit to a moderate amount of effort. So, what we do is we provide organizations the education and training, the hiring software. So as you're collecting massive amounts of people that you can quickly sift through, organize, manage, engage, automate messaging, automate assessment tools, strategies, workflows, so that we can process hundreds of candidates in a matter of minutes instead of hours and hours and hours. Also building a database. So, if you are dealing with technology that is getting more in your way than actually helping you attract and manage your talent pool, then I would encourage you to begin looking at other options. We would love to be part of that conversation. If your technology doesn't create mechanisms to help you evaluate the pool that you have, then I would definitely encourage you to look at us. We do both. So we offer applicant tracking as well as talent assessment tools. We offer a ton of talent assessment tools. So behavioral aptitude, culture fit assessments, aptitude and skill-based assessments, one-way video interviewing, automated reference checks, over 75 different interview guides, scorecards, and all of the training that goes with it is included in our services, all for like as little as $5 a day, as much as maybe 10 or 15 for larger organizations. So the cost of using these types of tools are so low. And if you're not using tools now and you are struggling and you're like, this is a huge burden to manage all your ad posts, to manage all your candidates, to manage your workflow, to get people into first interviews, to keep them engaged, to keep messaging going out to these folks. And if evaluating people, if you're finding that ultimately you're making hires and these people aren't working out, then you're looking at, revamping your talent evaluation strategies. Then we offer numerous different tools to help you through both sides of this challenge here. And we would encourage you to schedule a call with us. James is going to put a link in there. Now, as a gift, we want to see you be successful, whether you use our tools or use somebody else's tools. Ultimately, we want you to win at this game of hiring here. So if on our last session, I had probably 20 people reach out to me, and we just spent some time dissecting their particular recruitment strategy and problems and challenges that they were having. And we did that for free and no cost. And we had some really lovely conversations. And as a special offer for those attendees, for those who book a call today, we will do a free consultation with you. We will look at your current recruitment strategy, recruitment marketing efforts. We'll offer you hopefully some more specialized, unique techniques and strategies, or dig into some of these techniques that we talked to you about today. We share with you a little bit about how our tools might be able to help. There's no pressure in these. We're not pressure sales organization by any stretch of the imagination, but we will also give you our 8-hour $1 Million Hire e-learning course. You get 8 SHRM or HRCI credits. So this is the entire fact-driven performance hiring system that comes with workbooks and guides and videos that you can share, or you can share with your team, or help upskill your existing recruiting teams or people in your recruiting efforts. Your the full kind of rapid recruit playbook. So there's over 45 different ebooks, guides, checklists, tools, all built into this book here for you guys. So whatever strategy that you're trying to master, it's got a deep dive there for you to learn. Some of my favorites in there are the reference question ebook, power interview guide. We talked about the opportunity cost of hiring calculator. That's all built in there, or you can reach out to it. We can send that to you. And then we talked a lot about how to write these winning job advertisements, how to transform your job descriptions into advertisements that actually attract people. So numerous tools that we will package up and send to you if you book a call today. So James is going to schedule, put that link in there on how to book a free one-on-one consultation with us. Again, it's a no pressure thing. We really are genuinely just want to find ways to help our community and get better at recruiting and finding those great people there. So we've got over 1,000 customers that we've worked with. We're highly rated. We've got over 200 ratings on Capterra and Trustpilot, and numerous video testimonials from clients that we've been able to 50x their volume of candidates. We've been able to reduce turnover by 50%, and make really significant impacts both in their attraction and their retention areas. And so we'd love to be able to help you guys with that as well. So again, schedule some time with us. We'll help you really dig into your own specific situation. We'll get you some more tools and resources, and share with you some other tools that can help you really streamline those processes and make them faster and easier for you. So with that said, we got 10 minutes. I'd love to answer any questions that have come up. James, what kind of burning questions do we have here, or wins did we not cover?
So we did have a few questions throughout the chat. If you guys want to go ahead and reiterate some of the questions throughout the chat, we've had a lot of chatter in the chat, which we love to see. But one that kind of stood out to me, and I apologize in advance if I'm butchering this name, but Wasim says, I'm curious how to transition from a small business development and lead gen IT sales to a recruiter. I have an IT background and a digital marketing experience.
That's great. Yeah. Recruiting is all marketing, guys. I mean, especially if you're dealing with a really specialized workforce. So, if you know the world that you're in, so you're selling IT services, you kind of understand what the technicians and the engineers are doing. So you sort of understand what those people look like, what their background is. But recruiting is all sales and marketing, especially in worlds like that, like any kind of technical IT software development. It's all headhunting. So it's about creating lists of prospects. So these are a pool of talent. And this is what you guys can do on your own. You get a LinkedIn recruiter, sales navigator seat. You can do this daily. It takes, again, a few minutes. You go on, you run a search, you create the criteria, you create a short list, people who meet that criteria. Then you can use different tools to actually scrape their contact information. We use Zoom Info to gather information on these types of folks. So that gets you names, emails, phone numbers, addresses, everything you need to then do direct outreach. So then you can email sequences, cold calls, text messages to get these people engaged in a conversation. And it's really as simple as this, guys. If you're going to do cold outreach to somebody who is a highly specialized worker, first of all, I recommend executives do this, but obviously you're going to have recruiters doing this as well. But if you're a small business, you're the owner, or you're a key executive in that business, do it yourself, because nothing's more flattering than the boss reaching out saying, hey, James, you're a growth marketer, man. I'm really impressed with what you're doing with your career. Would you chat with me for 5 minutes? Love to talk to you about maybe an opportunity that could be potentially superior to what you're doing now. Simple as that.
Yeah.
That's the line, guys. James, if I had an opportunity that was superior to what you're doing now, would you be open to having a 5-minute conversation? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And then now you use your sales technique, your salesmanship, and you say, well, that's awesome. I want to make sure we're on the right path. James, tell me a little bit about what would make that opportunity superior to you now.
Got it.
You might say like, yeah, I'm making really good money now, but I work like a dog and I want to spend more time with my kids, and I got to commute an hour each way to the office and it's freaking killing me, whatever it is. Well, I might be able to help you with that, right? Because we've created a flexible working environment, et cetera, right?
Sure.
So you take a conversation.
So another question that came up is Catherine says that she runs a small business, and she was curious to know if the assessments were unlimited with the ATS posting jobs across all and any and all job boards.
Yep.
If that's really only $5 a day.
For small businesses, yeah, they're paying like $5.40 a day. I think is what it comes out to exactly. And yes, everything is unlimited users, unlimited use of the video interviews, of the assessments, the automated reference checking, the interview guides, the consulting, the coaching. Our hiring coaches are a big part of this. So all of our customers go through a 5-week onboarding process where they're hiring day one. Like first thing we do, we get jobs posted, we start collecting candidates, we start reviewing candidates. Week 2, we start scheduling interviews. Week 3, we start assessing and evaluating those candidates. And hopefully by the 4th and 5th week, we're beginning to get to the end of the process and starting to make hires and make offers. So it's a hands-on thing. This is it's something that literally the day you start, we start hiring. And we do that. You have a hiring coach, like they're backing you up, coaching you through the whole process, helping you optimize your process along the way. And then they never go away. They're always there for you whenever you run into a pitfall or a roadblock or challenge or got a new role or something that, they're always available to you.
Got it. So another question that came in was, Cogen, what are the hallmarks of a top tier employee referral program? How much should we offer, and what is the best way to structure incentive?
Yeah, again, I incentive the referral, not the outcome. So you've got to have everybody, all of the leaders in the organization need to be making a point to talk about this. And so the key is to make it fun, right? Gamification of this. So we're talking about it up and people do the referrals and we report back every week. Hey, James referred 2 people last week, guys. Awesome. 2 gold stars for James. So I like a referral or a raffle kind of program. So I might give, everybody gets a raffle ticket for every referral that they get. At the end of the month, we draw out of the hat, and James gets a pizza party for his team, and he gets like $100 Amazon gift card. Right? It doesn't actually have to be very expensive. It might even be nothing. It might just be simply a company-wide recognition with the CEO standing up saying, "Hey, James referred 5 people last month. We really appreciate your dedication to this company, your willingness to be an evangelist." I mean, just that alone goes farther than any monetary reward. But again, the monetary rewards, $100 Amazon gift card, a pizza party for his team. So make it a team thing. Like, hey, the team in San Diego referred 30 people this last month. We're sending them to Dave & Buster's for a blowout little party for them to have fun. I mean, that's going to cost you like $400, like nothing.
So as for a small proof of concept right now, Wissam, I apologize again if I'm not saying your name correctly. He said, would you be against the idea of bringing on a freelancer intern with your team? And Wissam, no, we're absolutely not. If go ahead, Anna, drop your email in the chat. Wissam, go ahead, drop your email in the chat. Anna will reach out to you, set up a time for all of us to connect, especially if you have a background in the technical marketing side. I'm always looking for great people.
Yeah.
So go ahead, let's book a call. And
there we go.
Go ahead and interview.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is where you talk about a customer evangelist, right? So, we're always recruiting. We're always looking for great people on our team. And I think most companies are. But when you're out in the marketplace and you're doing activities, you're at events, you're at a trade show, you're out in front of a customer, and they love what you have to say or the product or service that you're delivering. Again, if we share with those folks like, hey, everyone, we're always looking for great talent. Here's some current opportunities that we have. We'd love to invite you to explore those. It's a great way to find an already existing evangelist of your organization to come and say, I want to come work here for you. And it's easy. You already have a database of tens of thousands of people in many cases, or thousands or hundreds of people to share that message with.
So if we can go to the last slide, the HRCI credit is on the last slide. It will be emailed to all the attendees after this, but there's the SHRM code as well as the HRCI code. And you do get a credit for this session today. Again, anybody who attended, we're going to go ahead and send a follow-up email too that is going to also have this. So if you're on the go, don't worry, we'll have it to your inbox before COB today.
Yeah, and if you need a little bit of time, you're gonna get that follow-up email. Please, would love to book a call with me or somebody on the team to discuss your specific issues. I mean, we got to tackle a couple of them here today, and I hope if for anybody still on here, share a quick win that you had or an epiphany or takeaway from today. We always love the feedback. We really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun for us, and as you know, I mean, I could sit here and talk about this stuff literally all day long. James like going crazy. He's like, this guy won't shut up, man. Like he's constantly chirping my ear off about this or that when it comes to hiring. No, but I know I really am very passionate about this, and so I really would, genuinely would love to connect with any and all of you guys about any kind of hiring or recruiting challenges that you might have. Talent evaluation, candidate assessment, training, onboarding, you name it. If you're running into a challenge in one of those areas, love to just spend a few minutes with you. We can help dissect, what you're currently doing, offer again some strategies, some techniques, and maybe discuss a few tools that can help executing or eliminating whatever challenge you have, make that a little easier, faster. So, definitely love to connect with you guys, and I think that link is in the chat as well as will be in the follow-up email here.
Cool. Awesome, guys. Well, everybody have a wonderful day, and we will we'll talk to you guys a bit sooner, and have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you, guys. A lot of fun chatting with you. Have a great day. Great weekend.